name is Sue Woolgar, and I'm a pastel artist. This video is designed to help you with your approach to pastel. I intend to give you two options, a more traditional approach on a toned surface, and the second is a looser approach using water-soluble printmaking inks and pastel, although watercolor can also be used. For my first demo, I'm going to do this particular image on a toned piece of paper. This is just a little creek that runs next to the residence where I stay during the fall. And this evening on this particular creek walk, the light was just perfect. So this really inspires me to try to paint that particular image. So here's my image, and I've already got this drawn up on my paper to save some time. Now you'll notice that my paper size is not the same format as my image size. I have intentionally cropped this down so that this rock and this bush area here is sitting on my 1/3 of my paper. For this, I'm going to just employ a very simple compositional technique of thirds. So here's a third here, here's a third here, here's a third here, here's a third here. And this is going to be my focal point with all this brilliant color and my largest light sitting on the edge of this rock here. So when I start out, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to lay in some color very loosely. I'm going to block in my areas. I'm going to pick out my lightest light, and I'm going to pick out my darkest dark. So for this, I'm going to just use some simple values here, some simple colors. Okay, so this is just a really nice, cool, dark green, and I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to do some scribbling. When you're using your pastels, there's different ways that you can actually manipulate them. If you've just bought yourself a brand new set and they're looking very pretty in your box, don't feel intimidated by them. Take them, break them, peel that paper off. They're only half useful to you with paper on, because one of the things you can do with your pastel is use the side of it for making large areas and covering ground quickly. Another way of using it, of course, is just the tip, and we call this scumbling. Now there's a really beautiful golden tree in behind that bush. So let's establish that too. And we'll come in here with a nice bright golden crayon, and again work around my tree shapes. And we'll let that just move right in there like that. Okay, and again, take time to squint and look. Now that I've got that in there, I really feel that I need to add a little bit more of depth right in here. So I'm going to come back with my dark again and pull that up. And I need to come back in here and finish off the back of this forest just a little bit more and figure that out. Now, something that will add the life to that area back there is when I put my highlights on my trees. So I'm going to find these trees, and I'm just going to touch the edge to suggest the light. It's all about the light. I can also just do a little bit of scumbling if I want to just vary the value from top to bottom just a little bit by just coming back in here and just making some minor adjustments. Now I'm just going to add a few branches. Now when you make marks, lines with your pastel, if you keep them solid in one spot and just keep going, what happens is they get thicker and thicker because you're wearing an edge off your pastel. So if you want to keep your lines thin and delicate, wiggle. If you just wiggle that edge, you can keep your line consistent. So there's my basic drawing. I've just broken it up into some very simple shapes. Things like this bit of ice that's sitting on top of the water in the foreground, and all the little bits of information that's on top. I'll deal with that later. For this, I just use a spray bottle. Now, I'm spraying this chalk, so it's going to move a little bit. If you're working in a warm room, you'll find that you might have to respray at some point. Now, this really has a lot to do with color theory. So if I want to make a warm green, I'm going to have to add a lot more yellow and red to get this down. In fact, almost all red. This paint is really thick, okay? I'm not using this in a very genteel form. I'm really going to go in here and with really powerful marks. Now, the secret to doing this effectively is always to err to the dark. So don't be too gentle with this. Make your colors stronger than you think they should be. You can come back with your chalk and lighten it up, but it's much harder to get dark. So this initial wash shape here is really loose, okay? Another nice thing you can do with this is you can come in here while it's damp and just carve out shapes. I'm not worrying about the shapes of the trees in particular because I'm going to come back in a negative space, work my sky in here anyway. So I'm just sticking this in. Now that's reading a little bit on the mauvey side, or the, greeny side. So I think I need to just modify that just a little bit with just a little bit of this pinky color right here. We're just going to scribble again. So this can be quite an active surface with lots of mark making. Okay, so here we have a reflection, and then over here we have water again. So we're just going to pull out some of that.